Close your eyes for a moment, not to escape, but to look inward. You are not here by accident. This moment, this life, this body, this breath, you were chosen. Not by the stars, not by luck, but by existence itself. You have been given a place in this vast cosmic play. Now the question is, are you ready for what's coming? Life is not a straight path. It twists, it rises, it dips. Sometimes it opens into valleys, sometimes it throws you off cliffs. But remember, only those who are meant to climb are given the mountain. If you feel overwhelmed, it only means you are standing at the doorway of growth. If life is pushing you, maybe it's not punishment, it's preparation. When you look up at the sky on a clear night and witness the vastness of this cosmos, the stars blinking like ancient watchers, the moon pulling at the tides, and the silent breath of the universe flowing around you, it's easy to feel small, almost insignificant. But that feeling is only the mind's illusion. You are not a speck lost in the universe. You are the very pulse of it, beating with purpose, vibrating with potential. Existence does not make mistakes. You are not a random act. You are a deliberate creation. Think about it. Of all the planets, of all the possibilities, life chose to sprout here on Earth. And even among the millions of life forms, you, this human form, emerged with awareness, with the capacity to reflect, to feel, to transform. This is not coincidence. You are not an error in evolution. You are the very edge where life becomes conscious of itself. The fact that you can ask a "why am I here?" is proof enough that your presence is not a mistake. It is an invitation. Most people live as if they were thrown into this world by accident, scrambling to make sense of it all, driven by survival, validation, or fear. But when you awaken even a little, you begin to sense the orchestration behind it all. The breath you are taking right now is not something you created. The beating of your heart, the rising of the sun, the unfolding of a flower, none of it is your doing. Yet it happens with such harmony. Why would existence do all this, only to waste it on insignificance? You are not just flesh and bone. You are not a name, not a label, not a role. You are life in its rawest and most aware form. And life never shows up without purpose. A seed doesn't fall into soil by accident. It falls where it's meant to root. The question is, are you allowing yourself to root where you are? Or are you still busy trying to be somewhere else? Something else? Many seek signs, external confirmations that they are chosen, destined, special. Special. But the very fact that you are alive, breathing, sensing, thinking, and above all, aware of your own awareness is the ultimate sign. You don't need someone to tap your shoulder and tell you that you matter. The universe tapped you the moment you were born. The challenge is not in being chosen. The challenge is in recognizing that you already are. If you're waiting for some divine voice to tell you your life matters, you'll keep missing the obvious. Every moment is whispering to you. Every leaf that flutters, every breeze that brushes your skin, every time your heart aches or leaps, that's life saying, you belong here. But belonging is not a gift. It is a realization. And realization doesn't come through information. It comes through awareness. It dawns like the sunrise, slow, gentle, and then suddenly, everything is illuminated. You may not remember how you got here, and you may not yet know where you are going, but don't let that fool you into thinking there is no direction. Rivers do not have maps, but they still reach the ocean. Trust that if you surrender to the flow, something greater is always guiding you. You were not thrown into this life to wander lost. You were placed with precision, timed with perfection. The deeper question is not why you were chosen, it is what you are going to do with it. The moment you realize you are not here by accident, a quiet power begins to rise inside you. Not arrogance, not ambition, but a presence, calm, clear, and unshakable. You stop begging life for meaning and start living as though your life is the meaning. You stop waiting for permission and start walking as though the ground rises to meet your feet. When you understand that you were chosen by life, you stop questioning your worth and begin preparing for your becoming. When life becomes turbulent, when plans collapse, relationships shake, health wavers, or silence grows heavy, it is easy to think something has gone wrong. But what if the discomfort is not a deviation from the path, but the path itself unfolding? Challenges are not curses, they are catalysts. They don't arrive to destroy you, they arrive to dissolve what no longer serves you. Like a snake must shed its skin, you too must let go of the old to grow into the new. Transformation is never comfortable. A seed must crack open to sprout. A caterpillar must dissolve into chaos before it becomes a butterfly. If you expect growth without disruption, you are wishing for the impossible. Nature never evolves by staying the same. So when you are faced with a challenge, don't recoil in fear. Lean into it with awareness. Something within you is being broken, yes, but only to allow something greater to emerge. The problem is not the challenge. The problem is our resistance to it. We label pain as wrong, suffering as failure, and confusion as weakness. But pain, when met with awareness, becomes a portal. Suffering, when not resisted, becomes fuel. Confusion, when not judged, becomes clarity in disguise. The moment you stop running from the difficulty and instead sit with it, feel it, understand it, you begin to transform not just your outer world, but your very inner landscape. Have you noticed that the most profound realizations in life often come after the storm, not before? It's the heartbreak that awakens compassion. It's the loss that brings presence. It's the betrayal that sharpens your discernment. Life knows what it's doing. It is not trying to hurt you. It is trying to shape you into someone who sees clearly, stands firmly, and lives deeply. And shaping always requires pressure. The fire that melts steel can also forge a sword. Whether you break or become sharper depends not on the fire, but on how you meet it. If you face a challenge with bitterness, you harden and close. If you meet it with presence, you soften and grow strong from within. It's not about being tough on the outside. It's about being unshakable inside. Challenges don't build your ego, they burn it. What's left is something much purer. We often pray for strength, but resist the very situations that build it. We ask for wisdom, yet avoid the experiences that teach it. Life does not deliver growth in a comfortable package. It delivers it wrapped in uncertainty. Sometimes pain, sometimes silence. And if you dare to unwrap it with open hands and an open heart, you will see the challenge was never against you. It was for you. The beauty of challenges is that they strip away everything that is not essential. They reveal the stories we tell ourselves, the identities we cling to, the illusions we built. And once those fall away, something raw and real begins to emerge. It's not about winning or overcoming. It's about becoming honest, becoming whole, becoming aligned with what truly matters. And this becoming always begins in discomfort. So the next time life shakes you, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this awakening within me? Because challenge is not punishment, it is preparation. It is existence knocking on your inner door, asking if you're ready to grow, ready to shed, ready to rise. And when you stop resisting and simply say, yes, the transformation begins, not outside, but within. Growth is not something that happens by chance. It does not simply appear because time has passed or because you desire it deeply. Growth is a consequence of readiness. The soil may hold the seed, but unless the conditions are right, unless the warmth, moisture, and timing align, the seed remains dormant. In the same way, the potential for transformation lies within every human being. But unless one becomes ready, the unfolding remains paused. A readiness is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about preparing yourself so deeply from within that any moment becomes the right one. People often believe that one day when things settle, when life is calmer, when the noise quiets down, then they will grow, then they will evolve. But life never pauses for your convenience. Readiness means you begin the inner work now, even in the middle of chaos, confusion, or discomfort. You cannot force growth, but you can become available to it. Just as you cannot force a flower to bloom, you cannot drag your consciousness into expansion through effort alone. What you can do is create the right atmosphere. Internally, you can cultivate presence, patience, openness. You can begin to dismantle the walls you've built around your awareness. When you do this, growth does not need to be chased. It comes like the morning sun, quietly, inevitably. Some people hear a profound truth and are instantly transformed. Others hear the same truth 100 times and remain unchanged. It is not the truth that is different. It is the readiness of the receiver. A cup that is upside down cannot be filled. If you are not open, no amount of wisdom can reach you. Readiness means turning your cup upright, clearing the old, and making space for the new. Becoming ready is not about accumulating more. It is about becoming less entangled. Less entangled in opinions and fear, in your past and your imagined future. Yeah. When your mind is cluttered, even the simplest wisdom gets lost. But when your inner space is clear and still, even a whisper can become a revelation. In that stillness, growth happens without effort. It is not an action, it is a blossoming. Sometimes life does not give you what you ask for because it knows you are not yet ready to hold it. You may want truth, but are you ready to face what it reveals? You may want freedom, but are you willing to release your attachments? You may want power, but can you carry it without becoming consumed by it? Life tests your readiness not with words, but with experiences. And how you respond determines how far you will grow. This is why the spiritual path begins with preparation, not performance. Not performance. It begins in the quiet moments, in observation, in self-honesty. Readiness is a vibration. It is not about knowing everything. It is about standing with open eyes, open heart, open hands, willing to meet whatever comes with sincerity. The one who is ready does not resist the lesson, does not delay the journey. They say, "Ah, yes, I am here," and something begins to shift. True readiness is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is not about chanting louder, meditating longer, or achieving something externally. It is a soft realignment inside. It's a turning of your gaze inward. It's a moment where you stop seeking for something out there to change you and realize everything you need is already within. You just have to become still enough, humble enough, honest enough to let it rise. The unknown has always frightened the human mind. What we cannot predict, we often reject. What we cannot label, we try to control. But the unknown is not your enemy. It is the birthplace of all possibility. Everything that has ever been discovered, created, or realized first lived in the realm of the unknown. If you are unwilling to enter that space, you are shutting the door to your own evolution. We've been conditioned to crave certainty. We want guarantees, assurances, outcomes neatly defined. But life was never designed to be a contract. It's a mystery, unfolding moment by moment. The mind resists this because it feels vulnerable without structure. Yet, in truth, it is in the dissolving of structure that real transformation begins. You were not meant to stay the same. You were meant to constantly dissolve and re-emerge in new forms of clarity. When you embrace the unknown, you stop demanding answers and start asking deeper questions. You stop controlling the path and start walking it with presence. In this space, fear may arise, but so will awe. Doubt may visit, but so will insight. The unknown is not a dark hole, it is fertile ground. Nothing grows in the known. The known is simply a repetition of the past. The unknown holds the next version of you quietly waiting. To live fully, you must be willing to let go of who you were yesterday. This is why the unknown feels threatening. It requires you to release your old identity, your stories, your need to be sure. But this surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. Just as a bird leaps into the sky, not knowing how the wind will hold it, you too must trust that there is a rhythm, an intelligence to this life that carries you when you let go. The mind seeks to define. The heart seeks to experience. The unknown cannot be understood through analysis. It can only be felt, tasted, lived. When you stop trying to dissect every moment and instead become available to it, the unknown begins to reveal its treasures, not as facts, but as revelations. And these revelations don't come through effort. They come through openness. Embracing the unknown means living with an open palm, not a clenched fist. Notice how nature thrives without needing to know. The tree does not ask where the sun will rise tomorrow. The river does not demand a map. They flow, they bend, they rise, they rest. Can you live like that? Not passively, but consciously, trustingly, without needing to control every next step. Because when you stop controlling, you start aligning with something much larger than your personal will. The unknown is not chaos. It is simply unexperienced order. What feels uncertain is only unfamiliar. And once you step into it with awareness, it no longer feels like darkness. It begins to feel like depth. Most people spend their lives circling within the shallow waters of familiarity. But growth, real soul-deep growth, only happens when you dare to swim into the deep where the map ends and something ancient begins to guide you. To embrace the unknown is to live in wonder. It is to wake up each day not trying to repeat yesterday, but to discover what today is asking of you. It is to stand with courage, not because you know the future, but because you are present enough to walk into it. This presence is the key, is in the unknown. There are no signposts, only awareness. And the one who is aware will always find their way, even when there is no path. Well, let me know if you'd like to continue this with Key Point No. 5 or develop these into a full-length book, course, or narrated content. This flow would also work beautifully as a spiritual meditation series. In the noise of the world, we often forget the silence within. Life today moves fast, rushing, pushing, demanding more each day. But have you ever noticed? The more you chase clarity through chaos, the further it slips away. True understanding, real insight, does not arise from the whirlwind of the mind. It emerges from stillness like the reflection of the moon on a calm lake. Until your inner waters settle, you cannot see clearly. Not the world, not yourself, not your path. Stillness is not the absence of action, it is the presence of awareness. One can be very still on the outside and be in absolute turmoil within. And one can be in the middle of activity yet rooted in complete stillness. It is not about sitting cross-legged or closing your eyes. It is about becoming so deeply present that thought no longer carries you away. In that moment, the chatter quiets, and something more intelligent begins to move within you. Most people are trying to solve life from the surface, adjusting circumstances, fixing problems, chasing outcomes. But clarity does not come from rearranging the outer furniture of life. It comes from diving inward. When the mind is cluttered with worry, judgment, fear, and memory, even simple choices feel heavy. But when the mind is still, even the most complex decisions become effortless. Not because you analyze more, but because you see more. This seeing is not mental, it is existential. You begin to know without thought. You sense the right direction without weighing options endlessly. This is not magic. This is the power of stillness. Just like muddy water clears when left untouched, your inner world too becomes transparent when you stop stirring it with every passing thought. Clarity is already there. It doesn't have to be created. It only has to be revealed. Stillness is intelligence beyond intellect. It is the doorway to deeper perception. You begin to feel the difference between noise and signal, between reaction and response, between urgency and truth. And in that subtle difference, life becomes lighter. You are no longer pulled by every emotion or trapped in every thought. You begin to witness, not just think. You begin to respond, not just react. The mind believes clarity is the result of answers, but clarity is often born from silence. You sit, you breathe, you become aware, and suddenly what was confusing becomes obvious. Not because anything changed, but because you became still enough to see. This stillness is not laziness. It is not passivity. It is alignment. From that space, every action becomes more precise, more meaningful, more powerful. Inner stillness is like cleaning a window. The world doesn't change, but how you see it does. In stillness, you start noticing what you once overlooked. A small gesture, a passing word, the softness in someone's eyes all become doorways to understanding. You begin to live with sensitivity, not just intelligence. You realize that life is not something to conquer. It is something to be in tune with. And this tuning begins to honor your uniqueness. You must first stop seeking validation from the outside. The world will always try to define you by age, by role, by status, by trend. But the deeper you listen, the more you will hear a voice that does not echo anyone else's. We fear letting go because we think it leaves us with nothing. But the truth is, it brings us closer to our essence. Every layer you shed brings you deeper into the raw, untouched center of your being.